Opendoor CEO amazes me every single day. He says that he was obsessed with Opendoor way longer than we could ever imagine.
Welcome to the game, I'm the wolf of Dubai.
Welcome to a brand new video, and my name is Daddy. I'm looking for stocks that can have like a huge turnaround and we can buy cheap and has a great management, a public CEO, and just have a great product. And I believe that Opendoor is one of those. We are lucky that we can get into the $5 range for Opendoor. Believe me, this will be just the very beginning. And I have 3 YouTube channels. You should follow me, all of them. And also I have an X account where you should follow and follow my partner Michele on X10 Stocks, who talks about another huge growth stocks opportunity, maybe one of the biggest in 2026. Just type in X10 Stocks, Michele, you will find him, follow him, watch his videos. And now let's talk about the first clip. But before we dive into that, I would like to emphasize we have 3 days left before we raise our joining fee to enter our X10 day trading. You maybe want to have 10 testimonials. Maybe you need like 100. We have 1,000 testimonials of over 500 members from the US, from Canada, from all around the world that loving our product because we are trading for you. What is not better than having your personal ATM in your living room and we do all the work? Exactly. There's nothing better. And last 3 days, you will see how many seats are available on the website. Just check it out, xnDayTrading.com. And let's dive into the first clip by Cass, which is absolutely mind-blowing.
I paid a company to work here. I pay Opendoor money to work here.
That's insane.
My salary is $1, and unless stock levels see levels they haven't seen in years, I don't get paid.
If you look at the companies that have made a meaningful difference in the history of the world and have become good companies, basically all the founders or the CEOs of those companies would have said words that sound like mine. Increase the stock price tomorrow by a penny or by $1. That's not the job. Over a long period of time, the stock price converges with the company. The company is not the stock price is not the company. The company drives the stock price, not the other way around. So if you build a great company, the stock price will reflect that over time. The only way to build a great company is to build something people want. Single largest expense on our income statement was millions of dollars paid to a well-known consulting firm. The advice was basically the following tweet: do everything worse but cheaper. And so everything got worse, not cheaper, just worse. And our job is to make it easier for them to own a piece of America.
Kaz, welcome to Sorcery.
Thanks for having me.
I don't know if it feels like a long amount of time or a short amount of time for you, but I interviewed Keith when you first started, and that was back in September of 2025. How have the last 6 months gone?
I mean, it's been like it's a deeply interesting experience. Like I have there's a couple of things that you kind of think about when you like are prepping for a new job. And look, I never thought I would leave my last job. So taking this job was not unlike a thing that I thought would happen. But in hindsight, it has been so just deeply meaningful for me and my family. So like I judge my work every week. I judge it based on like the 3 vectors that I judge. I called hard, valuable, fun. Was the week hard? Was it valuable? Was it fun? And it hasn't been that many weeks, but honestly, all of them have been hard. All of them have been valuable. All of them have been fun. And it does genuinely feel like we're making progress every single day, which is like very rewarding.
And this was entirely disruptive to your life. You joined a company that was at 50 cents a share and it was about to be delisted. And then you get pulled in, recruited to this position. So what was it like going from Shopify where I don't know, maybe it was nice and easy and a little bit more linear to something that is completely abstract?
Kind of like the day I joined I remember when I joined Shopify in 2019, I left Facebook to join Shopify. And the number one question that my colleagues would ask me when I chose to join Shopify was, what the fuck are you doing? Like, that was number one question. Because like back then, Shopify was very broadly shorted. Like the day I joined, there was a short seller report that came out saying Shopify would go bankrupt in 12 months. And like now, like honestly, like, even at the time, was relatively obvious to me. People were like, Toby had built this wonderful thing, and people were misjudging it. But from the outside, it was not like Shopify back then was not the winner it is today. And the process, people forget, the process of Shopify over the last few years was not like the easiest one. Like, it wasn't, going to COVID wasn't easy. Coming out of COVID wasn't easy. Like, building like with AI wasn't easy. Getting into logistics it wasn't easy, but it was rewarding, which is like important. But the reason I like joined Opendoor was from the outside, like I had kind of become obsessed with the company. Like I remember, so I for fun take apart companies for fun. That's what I do. Like I read about the history of companies, I take them apart. And in February 25, I was flying from Dallas home. I remember this like it was yesterday. And for reasons that I can't explain to you, I'm like, let's pick apart Opendoor. Let's see what happened to it. And I was on a plane. And from the time I took off to the time I landed, it was like a 3.5, 4 hour flight. I remember getting off the plane and being just outraged by what had happened to this company.
Really?
I was just so angry about it. And like, so then I spent almost every weekend thinking about Opendoor and going through Opendoor and like using the product, figure out what had happened.
What made you angry?
Look, I think the problem Opendoor is trying to solve is a deeply meaningful one. And there's like nothing worse to me than seeing opportunities wasted. Like when you see someone who doesn't know how to play basketball that well, if they play basketball poorly, they're like, well, you're not that good. Like it's fine. You go to something else. When you see someone who's an excellent basketball player just throw away the talent, like everyone gets angry. Everyone's like, no, this should turn out better. And Opendoor should turn out better. So like it got to a point where like at dinner every night, my wife and I would talk literally only about Opendoor. To a point where my wife at one point was like, okay, we've talked about Opendoor enough. Can we please just go buy some shares in the company so we can stop talking about this? And I said, well, like it's not really the type of company we can buy that much shares in because it's not that big. And then she said, how big is the company? And I think the market cap was a few $100 million back then. I'm like, I don't know, a couple $100 million. And then she said, well, why don't we buy it? So like my wife's plan, literally, genuinely, honestly, was like, we would like sell everything we owned, leverage ourselves as much as we could to take Opendoor private so we could fix it. So I called Keith back in April and it was, hey man, I'm thinking of doing this. Will you do it with me? So that was my intro to Opendoor, because from the outside, I was just so like, it was so obvious to me this problem was one worthy of solving. It was a problem that you should dedicate your life to solving. Because when kids grow up in homes that their parents own, their life outcomes are better. Like when people buy homes, crime goes down in the neighborhood. And like it's a deeply meaningful problem to solve. And it's been basically untouched by technology. So I thought it was one worth solving. And I'm just, a couple months into the job. I still feel as strongly about it as I did back then.
So you can see here, first of all, the CEO, after the earnings, comes out, gives a couple of interviews, which is great. You get a little bit of understanding of the company, more depth interviews, more that he can speak about after the earnings. And he just gives us so much things to talk about. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about this. He went from Facebook to Shopify when Shopify was one of the most shorted stocks in the whole market. That means that actually you are having a very similar situation, and he turned around this company like crazy, okay? Great product, AI, through hard times like the COVID or Corona situation. And he said like in this very similar fashion, he went from Shopify to Opendoor. Okay, but that's the first part. The second part is much more mind-blowing, and I have heard it for the very first time, which is he was obsessed with Opendoor. I mean, this CEO is just like a brilliant entrepreneur, okay? He said like on the 3-hour flights, he just looked into Opendoor and he was just like so enraged because he said like such a beautiful company, such a beautiful product, and they just cannot make, the curve, right? And then what happens exactly? Then actually he tried to take Opendoor from a public company private, and he talked to Opendoor. Like, it was absolutely insane to hear that a CEO, before even joining a CEO, is obsessed with the company. Okay, like that means he is working his ass off. He is like tremendously invested. He is just getting paid when the stock price of Opendoor is going up. I mean, you cannot be better than that. Okay, so with that said, you see how deep the mission and vision is for him to make Opendoor a huge turnaround. Okay, this can be a $40, $50, $100 company once he's finished. And you are early, you are in the biggest turnaround of Opendoor. And if this is interesting for you, then check it out. Make your own research, obviously. And don't forget, 3 last days until we close the calls and they're able to join in February before we're raising our joining fees. So check it out. Schedule a call with me, 50 minutes, and we see if we can help you as well to get the best and most advanced trading group there is in the whole universe, xndaytrading.com. And don't forget, the grass is greener always on the other side.